We're already into the Set 21 previews with the new Yellow Frieza, the Goku Vegeta, but we do have Goku Black coming out into the newest Ultimate deck next month, and it should not be underestimated. Here's a few reasons why. First, the new cards it comes with are pretty damn consistent. Starting with the leader, there are two great things that are different from the original leader. The original leader does not draw on the front side, which is a kind of a terrible trait of older leaders, and the Reboot leader now has an alternative awakening. The draw is actually a little interesting since it relies on the battle cards on the front side, and on the back side it's any Zamasu or Goku Black. Speaking of, the ramping abilities, I put it in quotes because it's not really ramping, the ramping abilities kind of stay the same since you have to put your life or cards in life into your energy to ramp up. But now it actually has a Z Awakened leader, which you can use your Z energy as energy for the turn. And it's at 4 or less, which is not too bad, even though 15k is kind of annoying as a Z leader, but it's whatever. Activate battle also stays the same for the most part. Now you have to have a Goku Black in your Z energy. With a little finessing, you actually can draw a good amount of cards. Basically, what you usually want to do is that if you are awake or unawakened or awakened into Z Awaken, you basically swing with your Zamasu or Goku Black battle card, you awaken, draw the 2, and then swing again with your leader. And then if you can do the same thing if you have enough energy to Z Awaken and then swing again with the battle card. And it actually ends up getting a good amount of cards in hand. Now, the second reason is actually kind of related to the first, which now your new awakening condition relies on this Z battle card, the 3-drop blocker indestructible Zamasu that can actually restand. And while it's not completely invulnerable to yellow and red being able to remove it through skills, you do have this 15k boost through the Z stack Goku Black that you can place underneath and then play it under from the Zamasu for 1. This is pretty sweet because the Goku Black can be played for 1. Swing, place a Z energy, and then use both of these cards, the Zamasu and as well as the Goku Black, to fuse into one of the bigger Zamasus, which unfortunately that's kind of where the consistency ends. First, I didn't really play these cards because I thought it was too reliant on them to make the engine work, and sometimes you just don't see the pieces, but it ended up being really good because you draw more cards and as well as remove pretty much every turn. It also gets super annoying for your opponent when you get multiple indestructible blockers as well. The 6-drop is basically just a 25k swing, which if you evolve on top of it, you get a free energy, and it's also thankfully searchable. The 7 cost is technically searchable as well through other cards, I think Time Ring or something not that great, or maybe even something that is like top 3, but this is the one you want out as long as possible, likely after turn 3. You can remove something without barrier and draw on both turns, giving you a Z energy to use for your Z Awakened leader. While you don't have to block to get this ability, it does feel a little awkward when you do in order to proc it off. The rest of the support is not that bad. You effectively have a 1-cost 20k searcher, a 2-cost removal 20k crit attacker that can act as a counter, and finally a cool little counter that you can pay 2 for, replaces itself, and you get a 10k blocker. I do wish that this particular Goku Black was sort of like a Goku Black only token negate where you can take a life to reduce the cost. Then it might be too good. Lastly, you do have these 2 1-cost cantrips that searches your 6-drop, your super combos, or any other god related cards, and the other also draws you a card. But the most important part is that combo ability, as you need Goku Blacks into your Z energy for your Z Awakened leader. And these guys do it for you. Now the last reason is it's Goku Black, baby. Like it's cool. Like the fact, like I don't know about you guys, Goku Black is my favorite villain of all of Dragon Ball, and I've been waiting for a reboot for a while, and this one's pretty decent. It's not like amazing. It's not like on the par of like Crimson or whatever, right? Super Saiyan 3 Goku, but it is still pretty cool, and I do appreciate the fact that I can use older cards like Lofty Aspirations or Countdown to Destruction and a bunch of other random stuff. There's a lot of ways to build this deck. I will say that much. I think people can be creative with all of the god archetype type things, and as well as Goku Black and Zamasu. There's not like too many restrictions to this deck. You do need Goku Black, you do need the Z battle card, and then from there it's like whatever. Like you can put other gods, you can put other blue cards, you can run whatever you really want to. But speaking of, let's go look at my build. Okay, here is the list. So yeah, I mean, pretty standard, I would say. I didn't put in too many things that would be too far-fetched. I think there's a lot of cards that are in the Zamasu / Goku Black archetype. I think there are, I guess there's some merit in, as well as some legs in other variants of it. I've seen people play the one-drop Zamasu that you play it, and then you place the top card of your deck into energy, and then you use the leader effect, and then you kind of go from there. But other cool things with that is that you can play Infiltrator, Piccolo Infiltrator with Pan, and now you have a dual attacking 20k on turn 2. And what else is there? I mean, there's a couple other things that you can kind of do in order to kind of abuse the leader effect. But you kind of trade that off with the archetypal stuff, which is what I'm focusing on, and some of the good blue stuff. I think the other thing is that I am running Baby Hatch, and I think the reason why I like doing this is because, one, Baby Hatch is really good. I think the only time that it's not that great is when it's against yellow, and that's pretty much it. Green has its secret rare to counter. Blue has the secret, I was gonna say secret rare, but it has a counter, but you have to get a 5. So most of the time, it's easier to telegraph to prevent this, right? And I used to play the Beast Gohan secret rare, which I think is cool in this deck. Technically turn 2 you can play it. So like you go the Zamasu 1-drop and the leader effect, and then you play out the Beast Gohan for whatever reason. I mean, it's cool if they can't remove it easily. You just have a Beast Gohan every turn. The only downside is that the auto is once per turn. So if you are, I mean, it's pretty obvious why it's once per turn, since any of the Goku or Zamasu cards can attack, including your leader and Z leader. So yeah, that's how I can say about that. As far as the curve, and as well as just the cards in general, the 1-drops still are the cards that I mentioned before, where Zuno draws you a card, cycles through, goes through all that. You are able to use that auto effect to combo it out, get that Z energy from your drop into your Z energy, and usually the sequencing goes play one of the 1-drops turn 1, turn 2 you leader effect, and then play the Z battle card. And then this is before that you do combo with one of the Goku Blacks that have a 0/5, and then you can use the Zuno or the Gowasu combo effect to get it right back after you combo again. I think the next thing is that after you play the Z battle card, you awaken, draw 2, and then you go into the 6-drop and then the 7-drop on essentially 4 energy, because you're going to be using the leader effect again. And I think one of the other cool things is that if they are going to be aggressive, if you're playing against Red Sin, which is probably one of the worst matchups here, is that the when you get to 4 life, that is, the cool thing is that if you have the 2 Z energy to go into your Z leader, then you should be able to be perfectly fine to just use that as energy. And what I mean by that is that basically if you have 1 energy to spare, you haven't used the leader effect that is awakened, you go into the Z leader paying 1, which is going to be costing 1 for or less, and then you use the leader effect for this guy to get that energy back. And because you get to choose your energy at the end of the turn, it doesn't have to be the energy that you ramped. So you could tap out effectively, use the effect, and then have 1 extra energy open for the next turn, which is really cool because at the end of the day, you don't really want to use your life all throughout the game. It does take 3 Z energy in total, but you can get through that either by defending or by attacking. It's really not that hard. There's a lot of cards that you can just combo off and not really care about it. But that is the normal curve as well as the lower cost as far as this stuff goes. We do have East Kai keeping watch. There's a lot of cool cards that are very annoying that you want to punish. So like Gamma's, which we call it, Floodgate through Energy 14, through Mecha Frieza, Cooler, any of the yellow counters basically. There's some green stuff. There's always the counter plays in every other color. At least you can start not only having a searchable answer, but also start punishing for that as well. The other 1-drop is Defending Friends. It's really good at 3, just simply because you're gonna have this Z battle card pretty much out all the time unless you're playing against red. And again, it takes a little bit more effort as red if you have the 30k blocker with the 15k power boost, either under that guy or even under this guy, which is now a 40k blocker on their turn, which is nice because now if you have, which again, this is a blue Zamasu, this one says a blue Zamasu battle card, then you're good to go. Like it's a 40k blocker, they have to spend a lot of energy and a lot of time to get rid of it as red, just simply because you have to get minus 40. Red Sin gets there pretty quickly, which is why, again, it's one of the worst matchups, which is probably where you pivot into the other Goku Blacks, where some of these Goku Blacks, if we go through them again, it is a 1 cost if you have 4 of my energy, which is pretty easy because if you have these guys out, you ramp in energy, you're at 4 pretty easily. It's a 1 cost, and then you get to look at the top 5 and then search your Zamasu or Goku Black and add it to your hand. And I think what I usually do is that when you are on your turn 3, basically you ramp 1, you have this guy swing, you draw. You either play it for 1 underneath this guy, or play this guy underneath from underneath with 1, or you play this guy for 1 if you have 4 of my energy. The only downside is that this guy, which is why he is at 3 instead of 4, requires 5 or more energy. So it's a little bit of a later game card, but it is really quite good because not only that you can bottom deck something as long as you have the Zamasu out, but you also get to untap the 7 costs, which effectively you get another 25k swing. It gets to restand at the end of the turn, and again you get to bottom deck and draw 1 as well. But these guys are cool. It's just, it sucks when you aren't able to keep them on board, and then you're just left with these guys, which you can't really use unless you have a Zamasu, which is why you might even want to try 3 and 3 of these guys, or even 3 and 1. Doesn't really matter. Either way, yeah, it just really depends on what you're going against. There's not too many things that can answer it. What I will say is that it sucks going against again red, but also just yellow, where if you're these guys can get tapped down. So these can get tapped down. This can get tapped down by yellow. Indestructible has nothing to do with barrier. It can get chosen for effects. It's just that it can't be removed by effects unless it's -0 or they negate them. And the annoying thing is that if you tap it down as yellow, i.e. Majin Vegeta, which is the other worst matchup for this guy, you tap it down, or they get it tapped down, and then they use the 4-cost Goku Vegeta card that negates his skills and it pops it. That's just only one of them that actually does that. They can Final Flash and then pop it. They can do whatever they want in yellow. It's really annoying. I think that's what's going to hold back this deck from being really good in the format. And I think it also does really well, in my opinion, against other blue decks and some other control matchups. I don't think it has any issues with green and black. That's just me. But really red and yellow are the balancing factors for this deck if you're going to be building in this way. I don't think there's anything else that I can really talk about for this deck. The flex spots are probably going to be this guy. He is more often than not less useful than the other Goku Blacks because while this is good that you get to draw 1 and 4 and bottom deck of 4 costs, in the battle you have to have 4 or 3 or more energy, Z energy, and that is kind of hard in this deck because you're going to be using Z energy throughout the game pretty much all the time. The other flex spot is this guy, Countdown to Destruction to Lofty Aspirations. This is more of a cheese card. It's good against green and as well as black. It's okay against red. Yellow, it's like whatever. Blue, obviously it's not great. So it just depends on what it is, but it is a really cool one of. They do require 5 or more energy to place 2 of them into the drop, so keep that in mind. But he is a free draw 1 and a body, which you can easily put in your Z energy because he's a 0-5 and a Goku Black, so they're really good. What else? This is also a flex spot. It's a Rise of the Super Warrior. You can get to 6 pretty easily in this deck, just through the indestructible blockers, the blue defense through Realm of the Gods, Ultra Instinct, D-Magic, Majin Buu, the secret rare, that type of thing, right? This secret rare and then that secret rare. So you can get there pretty quickly. And yeah, that's really about it. I think Unknown's Parasite makes it a little bit awkward for your curve. I will say if you do choose to get this out or take this out, I don't really blame you. But it is really nice to draw one from this guy, draw one from your leader, draw one from this guy. You have 3 different sources to draw, defend, and as well as using that -5 to give your leader double strike, and as well as have this guy in your hand counter, but you get to play it, untap your 7 cost, and then go to town basically. So this is really, really effective if you get to that -5, and it basically protects your life because people just really hate it and they just swing into it, or they use something to minus the effects like Jiren or something like that, or minus the markers like Jiren. Yeah, that is usually what happens. Overall, it is quite a good card. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't think there's anything else. I'm really trying to think if I missed anything, but that is the gist of the deck. I honestly think it is a pretty good deck. I can't wait to play when it actually does come out physically. I'm definitely going to be building it, which I don't build decks very often because I'm working all the time. But if anything, let me know what you think in the comments below. Have you built your own? Come post it in the Discord in the description, or just message me to do whatever, or just put it in the comments. I don't know if it allows that, but probably not. I keep saying that, but whatever. Either way, I will see you in the next one.